Welcome to the Junos Devices module. In this module, I'm going to walk through the architecture of the Junos devices that are available for sale now as of July in 2015. Walk you through the different categories of devices and how they compare to each other in their operations. So the important thing to remember about Junos devices is that they are running the Junos operating system, which means there is a consistent operating system look and feel across all of these devices. And that means if a feature is available on the device, it will be configured exactly the same way in every device on which it appears. This does not mean that every feature is on every device. So we do have these three broad categories of devices, and even within that category of device, a feature may be on one product line and not on another. So when you get down to the nitty-gritty details on picking the exact device for a deploy, you do have to look at the details. So the first category of devices we have are routing. These are devices that are doing IP routing and IP services routing across your network and have a variety of capacities and styles. We have switching devices. These are primarily aimed at the enterprise and data center switching markets. And finally, we have the security devices, which are doing stateful firewall inspection and security services. So let's take a look at these three. In the first category, in routing, we're going to start with the MX series. This is a successor to the M series. It's a multi-service, scalable service provider router. They come from very small, few slots, to very large slots. 2 slots, 20 gigabytes, all the way up to 20 slots and 34 terabytes in capacity. So there's a wide range available in this product line. They are primarily used by service providers and large-scale enterprises that have a lot of capacity needs in their routing systems. The T series is a multi-service core router. This is going to be the core and aggregation point on the network. They start at about 640 gigabytes all the way up to the 4 terabytes in size. These are all slot-based systems. They can run from 40 to over 210 gigabyte interfaces with support for both 40 gig and 100 gig interfaces. They also have multi-chassis support in the T series so that you can aggregate multiple T series devices together and create an even larger capacity core. So if the T series is not large enough for the aggregation needs, then we have the PTX series. The PTX stands for Packet Transport Router. These are the high capacity units, high density, high capacity, but still multi-service on the core. They range in 2.8 terabyte to 24 terabyte for the capacity and have 200 to 1510 gigabyte interfaces with 72 to 384 40 gigabyte interfaces, or 24 to 240 100 gigabyte interfaces. These are definitely the large scale systems. Then finally we have the opposite end of the scale, the SRX series. This is a universal access router. It's meant for the edge and for internal aggregation points coming back from the edge. This is certified for Carrier Ethernet 2 and the services that you might run in a Carrier Ethernet network, including IP services and MPLS to the edge. And it's also ideally suited for mobile backhaul. These devices are also environmentally hardened so that they can live at inhospitable locations and sites. Moving on then to the switching in the Junos operating system. We have the EX series. The EX series is aimed from the edge to the core for enterprise switching. So these devices will go in the closet all the way to the core aggregation points. They come in both fixed platform, fixed interfaces, and in chassis-based systems so that you can mix and match the cards you need. Then multiple of these switches can be combined into a virtual chassis. In the Juniper world, you can combine multiple switches and pretend basically that each switch is a line card in a chassis manage those multiple switches as if it were one, and also simplify the interconnecting and port requirements for the interconnecting. There is a custom interconnect port on the back of some of these called the VCP port, but you can also use 10 gigabyte or 1 gigabyte ports for the interconnects for the virtual chassis. The QFX series is a switching series designed for the data center. These are scalable, large scale up to 96 terabytes in capacity. They are optimized for creating IP fabrics in a modern data center, and they also support the virtual chassis technology to combine multiple switches as if they are line cards in a chassis, even though they're not physically in the same rack. And there's also a custom fabric called QFabric that can connect these devices together for even a larger scale capacity and aggregation in the Juniper world. Finally, in the switching, there's the SRX Series. Currently, there's only one device in this series. That device is based on the Open Compute Project's hardware reference design. It is a open hardware design, but it is running the Junos that's optimized for IP fabrics. And this is a basic 48-port SFP system that can then be used to create IP fabrics for cloud-optimized data centers on low-cost open computing platform. And you can always remove the Junos operating system there, since it's an OCP platform, and run another operating system should you choose to. Finally, we have our security category. The SRX series is the Junos security platform. This comes in two varieties. They have the branch series, which are 3 digits in their models. They range from 100 to 650. They are basic capacity, next generation firewall, stateful firewall inspection. That's for your basic services at branch locations. The 4-digit model numbers are data center scale systems. They go up to 2 terabytes and have line cards and also capacity cards for the SPCs that can be installed to scale up as needed in the building up of a data center system. And then finally, in the SRX series, we have a virtual firewall. This can be run on either VMware or on KVM and provide virtual firewalling services in a virtual environment. The LN series is a stateful firewall that's been ruggedized. It comes in 2 varieties. These are rugged designs that can be run in harsh environments. They have no fans or vents, and they can be either a single unit rack mount for the remote harsh environment, or there's the mobile version for using a basic IP firewall in a truck or a mobile device that has to connect back on a mobile network. So this brings us to the end of the 3 categories of Junos-based devices. All Junos devices run the Junos operating system, which has a consistent user interface, and every feature is always the same if it's implemented on the platform. We have routing platforms that provide our IP and carrier Ethernet and IP services to the edge. We have our switching platforms, which are designed for enterprise closets to aggregation or data center deploys. And we have our security platforms, which are available in virtual and ruggedized data center and branch size offerings. So all of these are the platforms that you have available to deploy and run Junos in your company.